Hello, you guys, and welcome back to Mystical Visions. So, today's an interesting reading because the night I'm recording this, the new moon has just happened. And so, I initially thought of doing just a new moon in Aries or Taurus, I suppose, depending on which form of astrology you look at. Just a new moon reading about what cycles are ending, what new cycles are beginning. But I thought, how about I make this a semi-timeless reading in that this applies to whatever new moon cycle you've just stepped into. Okay, so that's the intention I'm going with. Whenever you watch this, whenever you come across this video, the new moon cycle that you've just stepped into, the lunation that you're currently in, that's what this reading applies to. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So we're going to take a look at the general theme of the cycle you've just stepped into, what's ending, what's beginning, and some advice. There's lots of cards. I've gone ahead and pre-shuffled them. So for pile one, we have an amethyst palm stone. Pile two is citrine. And for pile number three, we have a garnet. So, as always, I will give you guys some time to hang out with these piles and see which one calls to you intuitively. Timestamps, as always, are down in the video description. If you enjoy what I do and if this resonates for you, please remember to like, comment, subscribe. You can support me via PayPal. There's a link in the description. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So without much further ado, I'll see you at your reading. Pile number one, hello. So if you picked the amethyst stone, then this is your reading about the new moon cycle you've just stepped into. So first of all, you guys got a couple extra oracle cards that the other piles didn't. So I feel like whatever we're going to find out today is the universe is quite chatty for you today. So that's wonderful. So the way I've gone ahead and shuffled these is we've got 3 cards and 3 clarifiers here, which will tell us just a general theme for the month ahead or the month that you've stepped into based off the lunar calendar. Then we have 2 cards and 2 clarifiers here to tell us what you're leaving behind. And then we have 2 cards and 2 clarifiers here to tell us what you can look forward to in the new cycle you've stepped into. And then finally, of course, we have the oracle cards for advice. I may read some of these from the books. I may read one of these. I haven't decided yet, but we'll see what comes up. So I'm just going to put all of these to the side for the moment. Let's start with your general overview of what the month ahead has for you. Wow, I just fully had a blank. Okay, so first we have the Four of Cups, and that is clarified by the Nine of Swords in reverse. Okay, pile one. I feel like if you've been suffering from anxiety, because the Nine of Swords usually talks about anxiety, it's primarily because there is an opportunity that you haven't come across yet or you haven't noticed yet. Because the Four of Cups usually talks about the universe handing you a cup. And cups usually signify emotional health, happiness, joy, love, all of that kind of thing. So the universe handing you it, but you are so caught up in your situation that you don't notice the extra cup that would solve all your issues. And I feel like in the month that you've stepped into just now, you're going to become aware of this cup, of this opportunity, this emotional I want to say gain, this emotional gain that it's going to help you quell the anxiety that you've been feeling so far. Because the reason you've been feeling this anxiety isn't, wow, that was my mouse, I'm sorry. The reason you've been feeling this anxiety isn't because you're overthinking. It's just that you don't have enough information. And so in this cycle that we've just stepped into, you're gaining this information. Oh. Okay. That's what I get for messing with the light too much while I'm in the middle of recording part one. I'm so sorry. My ring light fell off. So anyway, you might be a little jumpy at the moment, or maybe it's just me. So one of us needs to get our act together. Okay. But if you've been feeling a lot of anxiety, part one, just understand that it's because you don't have all the information, or alternately, it's just that you haven't realized all the opportunities that are available to you. And in the month ahead, especially with this amethyst being here, the amethyst corresponds to the crown chakra, which is divine information. It's the connection between you and the higher realms, if I can say that. So you might find that a crown chakra activation is coming your way this month. And as a result, you're able to see a lot more clearly than you have been so far. So whatever anxiety you've had, it is just because you don't know everything, and you will soon discover all the options that are available to you. Particularly in terms of like an educational decision, if that applies, because this headpiece she's wearing, it's kind of reminding me of a graduation cap a little bit. So if you're a little nervous about something like, what college should I go to, or anything of that sort, just give it a moment and understand that you just don't have all the information yet. And when you do, the decision will be a lot easier to make. Our next cards we have are Justice, clarified by the Page of Pentacles in reverse. Interesting. I'm just going to move this guy over here so you can still see him there. Justice and the Page of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, so if you've invested in something, be it a journey of some sort, a new career path, a life decision of some sort that you feel hasn't proven worth the investment, I feel like you're definitely gonna see balance soon. You're gonna see your investments pay off, and if not, you will at least get your money back. Whatever justice means to you in this situation is definitely coming your way. But the universe is cautioning you against so it can go one of two ways. The universe could either be cautioning you against investing in something without reading all the fine print, or it could be saying, do not assume that just because this one thing went wrong, that everything is going to go wrong. Or in the past, the things that you have invested in may not have provided the outcome that you wanted, but that doesn't mean that every future investment is going to turn out the same way. So take that as it resonates. But in either case, you're definitely finding a lot of a fair outcome, is what I'm trying to say. You're finding balance. Oh, okay. The other interpretation of this, and this might apply to a very specific group of you, is if there's a situation where you've been overgiving and not receiving in return, where you've been investing far more than you've been receiving, particularly in like relationships, because justice is ruled by Libra, which is the sign of love and balance and partnership and companionship. So if you find that you're in a relationship, whatever context that may be, that is unbalanced, where you've been doing all the investing and not receiving, or vice versa, you feel like you haven't invested enough, that situation is either reaching balance in that you're able to even out the scales where you're giving and receiving in equal amounts, or you're able to safely step away from that situation. But whatever your context may be, you're definitely getting a lot more balance and justice. All right. And we have the Five of Cups. And that's clarified by justice in reverse. All right. Interesting. So, heavy Libra energy today. Heavy balance energy. So the Five of Cups talks about crying over spilt milk when there is still 2 cups standing, where she's only able to mourn the 3 cups that are fallen over. And that comes directly after the Four of Cups, where this is a cup that you're not seeing. Here, there's 2 cups you're not seeing. Interesting. And clarified by justice in reverse. Okay, so I do think there's a reason that this card and this card then progressed into these 2, because you may be called to embody a lot more openness to the will of the universe. You may be called to let go of trying to force certain outcomes, because the more you do, the less you achieve balance. Okay? So, for instance, here, she's crying over these 3 cups that she was so desperately hoping would stay upright, when these 2 cups that are coming in from the universe, she hasn't noticed. And therefore, the scales are unbalanced. Okay, this is a complex reading, pile 1. So there's a bunch of different... Let me just ground into this energy real quick. Okay. I think I understand. So, remember how we said you're not seeing this opportunity, but when you see it, it will quell your anxiety. And we said that if there's an unbalanced situation, it is either reaching balance or you're safely able to detach from it. However, in both these cases, you need a higher understanding, if that makes sense. So you want to be able to think from a more evolved perspective than you currently are. Because you can't solve a problem with the same mind that created the problem. Like, that's just true. So, what you're being called to... Well, I mean, we'll take a look at the advice. But the story that I'm seeing is someone who, when they see this opportunity, they're able to quell their anxiety. However, if they don't see this opportunity, the universe is gonna bring a 2nd cup as well, and you're still not gonna see it. Here, if you were trying to force this investment to work, if you're trying to force this unbalanced relationship to work, if we flipped these cards over, but you're forcing this thing that you've put so much time and energy into, you're forcing it to just keep going, keep dragging along, you're going to have an unbalanced situation, right? So in either case, it feels like with the information that you currently have, with the behavior patterns that you currently have, if you were to keep dragging them along, this is the outcome, right? So if you were to hold on to your anxiety, if you were to hold on to this unbalanced relationship or investment or whatever this is, it would lead to this situation where you're not seeing what's right in front of you. You're so caught up in your fears and anxieties and loss that you will never find balance. So I think, Pawan, this lunar cycle is very much about learning to trust that there is more out there that you don't know yet, right? Trust that you don't have all the information yet, and when you do, it will all start to make sense. Because I feel like that kind of thinking requires a lot of faith in the unknown. And that may be something that we're cultivating this month, part one. So let's now take a look at what is exiting your life. What are you letting go? What is an ending coming your way? Oh, these cards are hella sideways. Okay, they're so crooked. You guys, have you been a little bit just off kilter lately? Which, if you have been suffering from anxiety, oh my goodness, I feel you big time, dude. And I'm so sorry you're going through that. It's not fun. But rest assured, it's just because you don't know all the possibilities yet, all right? So let's take a look at what ending is coming your way. What have you left in the previous lunar cycle? We have the Wheel of Fortune, clarified by the Ace of Swords. All right, this is an excellent sign because the Wheel of Fortune, while upright, it is usually a wonderful card because it feels like fortune is favoring you. However, the very nature of the wheel is that it is not in your control. The wheel spins. Sometimes it lands up. Sometimes it lands reversed. All right? And it feels like a lot of your anxiety and a lot of your fears so far come from being stuck on the wheel, come from feeling like you're caught in a whirlwind where you have no authority or agency in the situation. But for that to be clarified by the Ace of Swords is new knowledge, new information coming in. This is what we've been talking about so far. It is this sense of you finally understand. It is new information coming in from up high, from the higher realms. You might find that you're doing a lot more meditation, a lot more things like Akashic readings or past life regressions or future progressions, that kind of meditation, or higher self-guided meditations where you find a lot of guidance from higher entities that truly help you. Whatever the case may be, you've left behind this cycle of not knowing where you're going and life happening to you, not for you. And you're doing that by leveling up in your intellect, leveling up in your wisdom, because intellect and wisdom are two very different things, though they work through the same modality, but that's a whole other topic. But it feels like there's almost this sword like coming in to like slash all your doubt and all your misconceptions, which we all have loads of, and whatever that is, it's taking you out of this roulette type situation where you're like almost at the mercy of fate, and it's giving you more control. Like, do you see how firmly this hand is holding the sword? It feels like it's giving you that sense of control and power over your situation. So that is wonderful news. Next, we have the Hanged Man. And that is clarified by the Lovers in reverse. Okay. Both air energy. So the Hanged Man talks about forcing yourself to see things through a new perspective. And the Lovers talks about something that is, let's focus. Okay. Something that is perfectly matched. It's meant for you to have. So to have the Hanged Man and the Lovers in reverse, this might be that sense of you kind of forcing yourself to adopt a mentality that you didn't really agree with. You're forcing yourself to think in ways that don't come naturally to you, or to adopt belief systems that aren't your inner truth, simply to be the perfect match for someone or some situation. So say, for instance, you are a very spiritual person and you're going out with someone who thinks your belief system is trash. In order to gain their approval, you might reject your belief system. And even though deep down you understand that your faith is real to you and it has brought you wonderful experiences in your life, you've kind of forced yourself to adopt someone else's perspective simply so you can be a good match for them. And yet you are then no longer your authentic self. You're not a good match to yourself. And that is behavior that we are certainly leaving behind. Per one, I'm telling you now, it's never worth it. Okay? And maybe that's the imbalance that we saw earlier. Maybe you are in connections with people, or with, it could also be cultures, honestly. Like, say, for instance, and this is something that I struggled with when I was in university, is the very narrow-mindedness of the institution that I was studying under, in terms of the culture, in terms of what is acceptable and what is not, and because okay, anyway, it's not about me. But the point is, I am inherently a very explorative person, at least when it comes to ideologies and thoughts and emotions. I may not be the most expressive, but I do enjoy exploring all facets of it. Whereas that institution that I was studying in, and I don't mean like the physical brick and mortar institution, but the whole culture of it was quite set and quite fixed. And that works for them. It did not work for me at all. And now that I'm away from it, I'm outside of it, I feel much better aligned to who I am as a person. So that's just to say, maybe that's something you're going through. Maybe it's a culture thing, not a person. Or it could be a person, apply this to however your situation works. But whatever it is, you've left behind, or you're encouraged to leave behind, this idea of having to force yourself to adopt a different perspective simply so you're digestible to people who won't see your perspective. That's what we're leaving behind. So let's now take a look at our final tarot cards before we move on to Oracle. And this is, wow, the dogs are going nuts outside. I'm sorry, you guys. I don't know if the mic is picking it up. It probably is. We've got a bunch of strays and they're just going completely nuts. It's the new moon. So finally, what new beginnings are coming your way in this lunar cycle? We have the sun. Yes, you love to see it. Oh, are we not focusing? Am I going to have to do this manually? Yes, I am. We have the sun, clarified by the Fool. You love to see it. Okay, the Fool is a literal new beginning. It's the start of a whole new journey. And with the sun bringing us optimism and joy and just warmth and excitement and thrill and illumination. The cycle you've stepped into is brand new. Everything that you've worked through so far, or everything you've experienced so far, is going to put you in a position of strong authority with the sun here while you step into a new cycle. And with the Fool, you do want to embrace a sense of humility as well, a sense of, I don't know everything. Oh, do you see how that echoes the message from earlier of you don't have all the information, so it's not time right now to make judgments about anything at all. Just be open to wisdom and experiences as they come your way. You're in a position of very good power and very good authority, but you're not gonna allow that to give you a sense of hubris. You're still going to approach life from a beginner's lens. And that is the exact combination you want when you're stepping into a new cycle. Very, very exciting, part one. These are beautiful cards to have for your new beginning. What else? We have the Queen of Coins. Love her. What a legend. Clarified by the Hanged Man again. Okay. There's a lot of repetition, you guys. You might find that, especially with this Lovers here as well. Okay, you might find that you do come across situations where it kind of feels like cycles from your past are repeating a little bit, but fret not, because you are now in a position of much more power. You now understand more, you're better illuminated, you have your coin, you have your privilege, you have your humility, and now when you embrace new perspectives, they're going to be from a position of growth, from a position of embracing who you are. These shifts in perspective are not going to be to try and appease someone else. These shifts of perspective, These shifts of perspective are not going to be to try and appease someone else. They're going to be about discovering more about who you are, discovering new facets of your personality, new aspects of your soul that you hadn't even thought of before. It feels like the cycle you're stepping into, you're becoming more you. And it's almost like you're going back and hitting a hard reset, because it feels like so far you've been in situations where you've really had to deny your truth, deny who you are and, what it means to be you, what impact you have on the world and all of that. But with this ascension, it's definitely an ascension with this crown chakra opening, this expansion. It feels like you're stepping into, because these are beautiful cards, part one. You're stepping into a time of just renewal. That's the word. It is renewal. Feels like whatever has happened in the past, these anxieties, this inability to see the opportunities in front of you, with this shift from the Wheel of Fortune to the Ace of Swords, I feel like this is a very significant part of this reading. It's no wonder it's right in the middle of your spread as well. This shift from being a victim to circumstances, from going from there to going to this control, this I understand, I know better. It is this transition that's really making all the difference, because now you're stepping into a sense of authority without having the hubris or the ego that goes along with it. It's a beautiful time ahead. It's a beautiful time ahead, part one. Amazing. So let's go ahead now and take a look at your oracle cards, which is going to be some advice from the universe, spirit guides, God, the angels, whatever you look up to for advice. So first we have Council of Light, divine orchestration, helpers in the subtle realms. Well, isn't that funny that I just mentioned so many potential higher evolved spirits that could have a message for you? But more importantly, this could be a huge part of your ascension, is connecting with new spirit guides, a larger spirit team, helpers in the subtle realms that you'd never connected to before, or just a deeper connection with the ones you already work with. Maybe in denying this aspect of yourself, as we saw here, maybe you've voluntarily disconnected from your spirit guides. And obviously they never take it personally. It's all part of our journey. But you may have felt called to get back into it, to reconnect, and they are always ready to get back to it as if nothing had happened. So I promise you, there is no shame, there's no fear, there's no worry. There's nothing you could do that would make these evolved souls not want to work with you. Okay? So yeah, you're definitely being advised to reach back out, especially if you've been out of touch with your spiritual team for a while now, because they are so eager to work with you again. Part one. I feel like you're a powerful manifestor, and whatever you do on this planet will have long-lasting consequences, not just in like physical terms, but in terms of your bloodline or the lives that you influence. And the fact that you have an entire council of light tells me that there's so many evolved souls, so many masters, so many deities or guides or helpers or angels that are invested in your journey, that are so eager for you to get right back on track with it. It feels like you were on a detour for a little bit, and that's fine. It's karmic, and we all need time to step away and evolve and do our human thing. It's time to come back to your spiritual self, though. Next, we have the ever unfolding rose, cracked open. It's happening for you, not to you. Beautiful. These are very powerful cards. Palm one. Yeah, it definitely feels like if this resonates with you, understand that this has already happened, is this feeling of hitting rock bottom, of being cracked open. But the cracks are how light enters our lives. We know this. It's a well-known cliche. But understand that where you are today is not your final form. You are ever unfolding, just like this rose. There is so much more to you that you haven't discovered yet. And that's why you're being called on a new fool's journey, which is your journey of evolution, of growth, of learning. Yeah, look at all this purple here as well. I definitely think you're having a crown chakra expansion right now, or you're about to. And that's going to show you facets of yourself that you didn't even know existed. And finally, let's take a look at your animal spirit guidance messages. We have the sandpiper spirit in reverse. Be playful. Okay. I think with the be playful in reverse, it kind of almost feels like, I know the message in the book says something like you may have forgotten how to be playful and it's time to come back to it. However, it almost feels like this is a message from this Council of Light, like from this team, saying, all right, that's enough, mucking about, enough denying who you are. It's time to lock in and step back onto your mission. It's time to let go of everything that no longer serves you and your divine purpose in this lifetime. It's time to let all of that go and really just focus now on evolution, on truly becoming who you are. You've spent long enough catering to everyone else's needs and bending and, forcing yourself to feel and think things that don't even hold authentic value to you. That's enough. It's time to stop messing around and step in. That's completely contrary to what the book says, but that's just the vibe I'm getting, and I read intuitively. Panther spirit, reclaim your power. Exactly. I'm going to read this one because this is number 44. So if you've been seeing repeating fours, that might be an indication that your spiritual team wants you to connect, wants you to meditate right in that moment, actually, or like tune in, because there might be messages coming in for you every time you see 44 or 444. No, I just had that come in. So Panther spirit, reclaim your power. It takes courage to face challenges, and right now Panther spirit is here to say that you are braver than you think. Now is the time to take a risk and step into a different aspect of your being. Panther spirit says the time for daydreaming about what you want to do is giving way to that first courageous act towards reclaiming your Panther spirit and power. Your new identity may feel strange at first, but you have what it takes and your soul wants this. Powerful. It's time to lock in, pal one, I'm telling you. The time for games is over. The time for people who force you to deny your truth is over. They don't deserve your time or energy. You do. All right. So that's all the messages. This was a long reading. Wow. I'm a little worried for the other two piles. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, pile one, thank you so much for being here and letting me do this reading for you. I truly hope it resonated and that it brought you some clarity and support. If it did, please remember to like, comment, subscribe. You can stick around to the outro for another reading on my channel. If you'd like to support me, there is a link to my PayPal down in the description. And that's pretty much it. So thanks so much for letting me read for you, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye. Pal 2, hello. Welcome to your reading about the new moon cycle you've just stepped into. So if you picked this citrine crystal, then this is your reading. Welcome. So today we're going to take a look at a general overview with these 3 cards and 3 clarifiers about what this new month is all about, just a general theme. Then we'll take a look with these 2 cards and 2 clarifiers about, we'll take a look at what you're leaving behind in the previous cycle. With these 4 cards, we'll take a look at what you can look forward to in the cycle you've stepped into. And then finally, with these oracle cards, we'll take a look at a message from the universe, spirit guides, whoever wants to come through. And I don't know which of these I will read from the book, but I haven't decided yet, but we'll see. So I'm just going to put these guys over to the side. Okay, so let's take a look. Pile number 2. I should say, when I was shuffling your cards, they were quite chaotic, in that a lot of them wanted to fall out all at once. So if you're in a chaotic energy, like, take a moment right now to just ground yourself. Okay. Oh, my camera's doing that weird thing with the lines again. Okay. Anyway, these lines like to wave around when I move my hand around. You guys see it? Anyway, so wow, I'm getting distracted. Wow, you might be having a distracted time right now. Or maybe it's just me and I'm trying to shift the blame onto you guys. Anyway, so what is the general theme of the lunar cycle that you've just stepped into? We have the Queen of Cups in reverse, clarified by the 5 of Swords in reverse. If you've been in a conflict situation of some sort, if there is a disagreement, an ongoing, I don't know if I want to say dispute, because that sounds quite legal. You could be in a legal dispute. Don't use tarot readings as legal advice. But if it is just a disagreement, an argument, a conflict you're in with someone, the way to peace is certainly to let go of any emotions you've kept hidden from this person or from the situation. Any any feelings that you've held deep within you because you feel like it clouds your judgment when it comes to arguments and that kind of thing. With the Queen of Cups in reverse, you're being asked to let go, because the Queen of Cups is the only card in the Suit of Cups where the cup is covered, right? Because she is a legend at keeping her emotions bottled up and knowing when it's time to release it. Have this in reverse is telling me that it is time to do an emotional deep clean. Another interpretation is to be wary about emotional dumping, but I feel like that doesn't really apply to this situation. Oh, I'm suddenly just really tired. It might be quite exhausting to let out all those emotions, you guys. But understand that the more you're able to communicate these emotions rather than holding them deep inside you, the easier it will be for whoever you're having this issue with to understand you and understand where you're coming from and see your perspective. Because a lot of the times conflicts don't even have to be conflicts if we just talk about it, you know? And adding emotional context might help whoever this is get out of their cold, calculated, logical state of thinking and step into their emotional, nurturing way of thinking. And that might bring you closer to this person, or better yet, just end the conflict entirely. So that could be the energy that you're stepping into. I didn't mean for that to come off as advice. This is just looking at the themes for the month ahead. So you could be resolving conflict by emotional conversations. Next, we have the Knight of Cups, clarified by the Seven of Cups. Okay. There's a couple different ways I could interpret this. First, with the Knight of Cups and the Seven of Cups, it could be that if, let's take the textbook definition, right? If you're single, if you're looking for partners, that could be a myriad of options coming your way and you might not know what to pick, or you might just enjoy the attention, which, hey, good for you. You know, enjoy it. We're here to be adored and loved and appreciated. So good job. You're doing what you were put here to do. But let's take a look at a more contextual definition of this, or a contextual understanding of this. Yeah, I'm stumbling over my words today a little bit. I do apologize. I'm going to blame the new moon. The moon is my wife and she hasn't shown up today and I'm very upset. No, I'm kidding. New moons are a great opportunity to start things anew. But anyway, contextually, it feels like holding on to this emotion might have created this sense of illusion. And when you're able to speak about it out loud and in kind, loving, productive ways, you understand that the illusion is an illusion. You know, it brings a lot of clarity to the situation where, like I said, if you are in a conflict, speaking about your feelings, it kind of brings everyone back to the very core feature that we all share, which is humanity. You know, we are not perfect. We are not machines. We're bound to make certain decisions, make certain choices based off how we feel. And that is perfectly valid, you know? And when it comes to the Seven of Cups, that is the Maya of it all, the illusion, the not knowing that none of this is real. Feeling trapped by your situation. And I feel like the way to get out of this, the way to Well, the way to get out of it is to first recognize that it is an illusion, that none of this is real, that it's not me versus you, it's you and me versus the problem. And with the Knight of Cups, this is a knight that brings forward a message of love, of harmony, of emotion, emotional clarity, emotional support, all of that. So once you're able to speak about how you feel rather than what you think, rather than saying only the things that would help you win the argument, once you're able to speak about how you feel truly at your core, is when you recognize which parts of this conflict are real and which parts are just an illusion created by emotions that are clouding your judgment. And that will bring a lot of peace. Okay. Next, we have the Chariot. There's so much water here. Clarified by the Five of Cups in reverse. Yeah. And then very quickly, you're moving to a situation where, yes, there is like the 3 cups that have fallen, but there are these 2 cups. So the Five of Cups upright usually talks about crying about or being upset about these 3 cups of love that have fallen over, not recognizing that these 2 are still upright, are still worth celebrating. So to have it in reverse talks about actually realizing that these 2 cups are still standing, are still available to you, that reconciliation is possible. So if you're in a situation of separation or, just conflict with someone that you really want to get back with, in whatever context that may be, understand that the only way forward is to let your guard down, to let your feelings be known. Whatever your feelings are, because I feel like this person will then show up on their part and help you discern which feelings are valid and which ones might be unnecessary, in the sense of unintentional, as in I didn't mean to make you feel this way, or I didn't mean for you to feel this way, but here's what I really meant, like that kind of conversation. Because with the Chariot, you have fast movement. I'm just baffled by all the water here. This is such, like, there's water in this card, there's water in this card, even though this is a swords card. There's all this cups energy. Very deeply emotional time for you. You might go through a lot of like emotional detox, emotional release in general, whether or not it involves conflict with someone else. It could be an internal conflict. It could be processing previous issues that you've been through. Whatever the situation is, pal, to make space for feelings. As cringe as it may make you feel, you have to talk about how you feel. Okay? That's definitely the theme of this month that we just stepped into. So, with those to one side, let's take a look at what is ending for you. So, what are you leaving behind as you step into this new lunar cycle? We have the 7 of Wands, and that is clarified by the moon. Interesting. Okay, yeah, no, well, I understand it. You're leaving behind this idea of just working harder is going to bring me clarity. You're starting to recognize that just putting in more effort, using your brain more, using communication skills more, using logic more, is not giving you clarity. It's not that It's not that there isn't enough information to solve this dispute. It's that cheese. This dispute is at its core an emotional issue, not a mental one, not a logical one, not a communication one. Well, it could be communication based in that you haven't communicated how you feel. But at the very core of it, this issue, whatever the situation is deeply emotional. I keep trying to give you multiple contexts in the hopes that this applies to a lot of you, but this is a very specific. Oh my goodness, I can't speak, you guys. Wow, this is a very specific situation. So if this has resonated so far, you know what I'm talking about. In that hard work is not giving you results. Going over the same things over and over again is not giving you results. It's keeping you in the dark. So we're definitely leaving the hard work, the repetition, the forced progress in the past. And we're going to the very core of it. We're going inwards to the shadowy bits that we don't understand, to those deep emotions, to try and go to the very root of the issue and try to excise it. Next, we have death in reverse, clarified by temperance. Beautiful. That's interesting. This is a fire and water. This is water and fire. Okay. Anyway, death in reverse clarified by temperance. This situation doesn't have to end, right? It doesn't have to end. You may, if this is about a relationship, which it's seeming more and more likely to be about, you're not necessarily in a checkmate. This might just be a stalemate where someone has to break out of it. Okay. I don't know chess. I could have just completely made a horrible analogy. Forgive me. But the point is, you may be working under the assumption of this is a relationship that is quickly hurtling towards an ending. But you're leaving that behind, and that you're finally understanding that that's not what it is. It's not heading towards death. It's not heading towards an ending. It is simply unbalanced. And you see how this angel brings balance back by pouring out of that cup into another cup. This could be you and your person. What you really want to do is bring emotional clarity. I don't know how many different ways I can say it in, but the good news is you're leaving this sort of, I have to work hard, I have to throw this away and start over. I don't know what's going on. How will I ever find balance? You can leave all of that in the past, and you are leaving it in the past because it's not the end. Like, obviously use your discernment. If this is a truly toxic issue, then yes, we need to get rid of it. But it doesn't feel like it is. It just feels like a conflict that has come from trying to overly intellectualize an issue that is deeply emotional. And having a conversation from a place of, having a conversation from your heart space, rather, is the only way you can fix it. So let's now take a look at a new beginning that's coming your way now that you've left this difficult energy behind. We have the Page of Wands in reverse. Wonderful, wonderful. Clarified by the Eight of Cups, also in reverse. Okay, you're stepping into a time when you're not giving into momentary passions or the idea of running away from a situation. You're not allowing one moment of anger or, irritation or fear to make you walk away from something that is truly worth working towards or working through. Because the Page of Wands is a very immature passion, right? Think Romeo and Juliet, where they had this insane whirlwind romance fueled by a very naive perspective of what love is. And that just ended in tragedy for everyone, right? Whereas you want something that is a lot more mature. You want something that Hosier would write songs about, So, and that, I feel that may be what this situation could become once this conflict has been worked through. It's not a Shakespeare tragedy, it's a Hosier bop, So what you're stepping into is letting go of this emotional immaturity that makes you feel like everything is going to end the second something unsavory happens. You're stepping into an energy of, no, I want to stay here and fight for this because I know this is worth saving. Let me be very clear, though. This is not just a fight as in the Seven of Wands, where you're just repeatedly going through the same cycles over and over again. This is a fight that brings about evolution. Because with the Eight of Cups, this person walks away from all this emotion that they have gathered, all these, after the illusion, they have grown weary of, all the trials and tribulations, the toll that emotional depth and emotional healing takes on you, and this person is choosing to walk away from it. They feel like it's not worth it. It's not what they want out of life, right? So to have both of these cards in reverse tell me that you're maturing through this conflict. And the time you've stepped into, you're no longer giving in to your pettiness, your little ego trips that cause you to walk away from healthy partnerships or healthy relationships or healthy situations simply because you are a little miffed about the situation. This is a good thing. I'm not trying to roast you. This is a wonderful development. All right, pile 2. Next we have the Page of Swords. Yes. Look at that development. The Page of Swords clarified by the Star in reverse. Okay. The Page of Swords. You're going from the Page of Wands to the Page of Swords, which you're going from being blinded by this passion, this immature sense of, this is how I want things to go. You're going from that to a new cycle of curiosity, of how would I think if I didn't have these preconceived notions. The Page of Swords is someone who is very curious about the world around them. They want to learn more. They want to, find out new ways of thinking. But why is the Star in reverse? So this shift in maturity level, this growth and evolution might bring you to a point where you start to see, how do I phrase this? You start to change this sense of idealism, of expecting everything to be sunshine and rainbows. You start to see reality. You're breaking through this illusion, which ironically, this isn't necessarily the illusion. This walking away from it all is the illusion. And you may have this very idealized notion that comes from not, growing as an individual. This idea of the perfect person will fix me. The perfect person will never fight me or never argue or never have opinions of their own. They will always say yes to everything I want and all of that. And you're starting to lose that illusion because it's not true, is it? There is no such person on this planet that will simply go with what you want, unless there was an ulterior motive there, which you should be very worried about. And that's the cycle you're stepping into, is critical thinking, but not in a let me defeat you with my logic way, but rather in a why do I feel the way I feel? Why do I think the way I think? Maybe there's a flaw in what I think a happy ending would be. Maybe it doesn't have to be about perfection and things like that. So you're stepping into a cycle of growing up, Paltu, and that is incredible to see. Incredible. So finally, let's take a look at advice from your angel, spirit guides, higher self, whoever wants to come through. We have birthing a new age. Yes, birthing new creations, dreaming a new world into being. I feel like the new creations that you're birthing is a new and improved version of yourself, Paltu. It's you. You're birthing a new era for yourself. You're stepping into a new energy of reinventing yourself, where in the past you may have been driven entirely by these unbalanced emotions. And you're stepping into a time where you're recognizing perfectionism hasn't served you, expectations haven't served you, refusing to look inwards and simply projecting your insecurities outwards hasn't served you. And you're stepping into a new era. That's wonderful. And we have Stag Spirit, take the lead. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I think if there is change to be made, you have to be the one making it. That's so interesting because this is card number 13, the death card, and this reduces to a 13. And then this is 14. Oh, interesting. Yeah, if there are steps to be made, you have to make them. And like I said, it feels like the only thing you really need to do here is confront your emotions. Now, how you go about it is, well, I guess it's like individual, because I don't know your specific situation, but you're being called to make the next move and reach out to whoever this is, even if it is your inner child, your inner teenager that is struggling. It's your job to consciously reach out and have an emotional heart to heart. Talk about how you're feeling. Write it down, write a letter maybe if you want. Whatever it is. Let's read this from the book actually. Number 58. Ooh, there we go. Stag Spirit, take the lead. Whether or not you have set your intention to lead, you may have found yourself suddenly called to step up to the forefront of your life. Stag Spirit is a reminder that now is a time to heed the call to be sure, strong, and compassionate. Others will look to you, and you have it within you to see through the eyes of Stag Spirit and walk with confidence as you take on responsibilities. You are a model for transformation now, sharing your experience, strength, and hope with others so they may grow and discover their best selves too. Stay humble and authentic and walk your talk, for this is how a wise leader leads. Maybe, oh, okay, here's the thing I didn't even consider. Maybe this is a parent-child situation where either you're a parent whose child is like being difficult to talk to or difficult to reach, be it literally or emotionally, or you're a child with a parent who is being difficult to talk to or reach. And it's time for you to take the lead, whatever your situation is, and open up an emotional discussion. I feel like that will really truly heal you if this isn't just like a partner dynamic or a friendship dynamic. In either case, Paltu, it's time to lead with your heart space, to be open to change, to be open to letting your passions take a backseat for a moment and letting your emotions, your healing take the wheel for a bit and allow evolution to happen through your heart space. So that's your message for today, Pal 2. Thank you so much for letting me read for you today, for spending some time here and sharing your energy with me. I truly hope it helped. I truly hope this brought you some clarity and support. If it did, please remember to like and subscribe. Comment below how this resonated for you. If you like what I do, you can always support me via PayPal. The link is down below in the video description. You can stick around to the outro for another reading on my channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye. Pile number 4, hello, welcome to your reading about the new moon cycle you've just stepped into. So if you picked this garnet crystal, then this is your reading. Let me just start by saying, when I was shuffling your cards out, I felt like I wanted to get comfy. I wanted to get all like, well, even now I'm just here like adjusting my chair. I felt like I wanted to sit up, in a comfier position, and you're the only group where I felt like laying out the cards all nice. So you might be that kind of person. You might be a vibe. But anyway, today we're going to take a look at the new moon cycle you've just stepped into, no matter when you're watching this. All right. So the way I've done this is with these 3 cards and 3 clarifiers. We'll take a look at the general theme of your month ahead and what you can look forward to. These 2 cards and 2 clarifiers are going to tell us what you're leaving behind as you step into the new cycle. And then these will tell us what's coming for you looking forward. And then finally, obviously, the oracle cards will give us messages and advice from your spiritual team, whoever wants to come in today. And I may read one of these from the book. I haven't decided yet. I'm just leaving that open. So without much further ado, wow, immediately chaotic. Let's go ahead and take a look at the general theme of your month overhead. So we're starting with the 3 of Swords. Okay. Clarified by the 4 of Wands. Interesting. Oh, do you know what's funny? When I was getting ready to do this reading, I was actually really cold, so I had to turn the temperature up for my aircon as well. I feel like you really want comfort this month, where it feels like you might be going through something, Pile 3, even though the world around you seems happy and upbeat and celebratory. It feels like deep down there's a wound that you're working through. It doesn't feel like, someone's going to break your heart or whatever moving forward. That's not what's coming through. It feels like you've recently been through a heartbreak of some sort. And so that's something you're really feeling right now. And there might be occasions where people around you are just really happy and really excited, and you're like, you have to participate because you've been invited, but you really don't want to. And deep down, you're like, I'd rather be at home in my pajamas, eating an entire tub of Ben and Jerry's and watching like old shows, like comfort shows, just because I need that nurturing. Yeah, this feels like you need a lot of nurturing this month, Pile 3. Or alternately, if you haven't been through like a heartbreak, don't worry, this is not a prediction of heartbreak moving forward. This is more feeling like a fish out of water, where you might feel like the people around you may not have had as difficult a journey as you have, and so they're able to be carefree and enjoy their time, whereas you are constantly haunted by things in your mind that you cannot let go of. And maybe this month it's you're feeling it a little extra for whatever reason. It could be a sensitive time of year. There might be something like an event coming up that you're quite sensitive to, like an anniversary of something. Whatever it is, free. This month you need a little TLC. Next we have the Two of Swords in reverse, clarified by the Eight of Swords. Yeah, there's no two ways about it. You're in a self-protective mode. It's almost like you want so desperately to go into hermit mode, to shelter yourself, protect yourself, nurse yourself back to fighting form, but it feels like you have no choice. It's like you have no authority. I don't know if authority is the right word. It feels like you have no choice but to put that on the back burner. And therefore this month you feel like you have to have your guard up a little extra high just because you're so sensitive, but you're still expected to do things. And you have no choice but to show up. But it's like, it almost feels like I'm trying to pour from an empty cup, if that makes sense. But it's like, there's a job to do. You know, that kind of energy. It's like, I know I'm exhausted, but there's a job to do. That might be a running theme this month, Pelfrey. Thing is, it doesn't mean that you have to also give yourself like mental torture, you know? It's like the world around us can be cold and ruthless and uncaring of our need to go inwards and to protect ourselves and nurture ourselves and all of that good stuff. The world can be callous in that way, but that doesn't mean you have to be callous to yourself in what little time you do get with yourself. And maybe that's the theme that you're going to be working on in the month ahead, where you don't have to echo to yourself what the world thinks you deserve. So maybe if you're working really hard and you don't have any energy, when you get home, instead of just going straight into, oh, this is what I need to do to prepare for tomorrow, maybe take a moment, maybe draw a nice warm bath, maybe get yourself one of them rolling massager thingies. Maybe that's random, I know, but sometimes it helps, you know. Maybe if you have time, schedule a massage, schedule like a spa weekend or something, if that's available to you. Or just ask someone to rub your feet for a bit, you know. It's little things that we do to nurture ourselves that reaffirm our worth. A face mask, one of them like really cheap ones that promise to give you like overnight glow or whatever. It doesn't matter if it actually does give you the glow. It's in the act of doing that nice thing for you that you feel nurtured. Next we have the King of Swords in reverse. And that's clarified by the Six of Pentacles, also in reverse. Yeah, you don't really have much to give this month. But as a result, it might feel like you're off your game a little bit. And it is completely understandable. If you're going through something, you should not be expected to give and give and give. Like I said, it feels like you're pouring from an empty cup this month, and you shouldn't be expected to. Oh. I like when these readings are uplifting, but this one feels like, so far, it feels quite heavy. So I have nothing for you but sympathies, Pile 3, because this is a difficult time. This is a difficult situation to be in, rather. With the King of Swords and the Six of Pentacles both being in reverse, the King of Swords talks about someone who is a master of their intellect, a master of rationale, And so to have that in reverse, being clarified by the Six of Pentacles in reverse, it's like it doesn't make sense to expect you to give and give and give and give when you so clearly need to receive right now. You so clearly need to be poured into. So it feels like there's a lot of swords cards. It feels like this is about your internal monologue, really, Pal 3. It's about, are you taking the time to feed yourself affirmation, to feed yourself kindness and nurturing? Because yes, the world expects a lot of us, and yes, there's work to be done. But in those brief moments where you have a moment to breathe for yourself, what are you feeding your mind? Are you doom scrolling before bed? Are you watching the news constantly? Because the news never really has anything nice to say, does it? Are you constantly thinking about how the world is falling apart? That feels like what's going on in your mind right now is the current situation. I don't blame you, things are insane out there. But that said, and I feel like that's a timeless message because things are never not insane. But regardless, the point is, the more we feed ourselves this negative talk about the world, the more we start to expect it. And the more we expect it, the more of it we manifest as a collective. And the only true rebellion is to just reject the emotional reaction that they want you to have, right? It is to reject the investment that they want you to make into the drama of it all. And I know that's easier said than done, but you have to start somewhere. And step one would be to change your internal thought patterns, at least when it comes to yourself. You cannot be expected to give and give and give and receive nothing. You cannot be expected to run on empty. And a world that expects that of you is not a healthy world. And it's not your fault that you have nothing to give. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you an unworthy member of society. Productivity is not what we should be measuring our worth by. And I feel like that is a theme that's coming up for you. That may be a lesson you will work through this month. Yeah. I feel like I want to rage at the world, which, I mean, I do. It's probably not even you. It's probably just me thinking about politics and nonsense. But if that's something you're struggling with right now, understand that that's what they want. That's what these sensationalizing outlets of media want you to feel, so that you are trapped in survival mindset and you don't have the time or the space or the energy to think beyond. With that said, let's now take a look at what you're leaving behind as we step into this new month. We have the Fool, and that is clarified by the Six of Wands in reverse. You're leaving behind this fear of not knowing enough. You might consider smartness to be an attribute that makes some people better than others. And the Fool is usually about starting a new journey, but in this case, I'm feeling like it's quite literal. And you might think that because you don't know enough, perhaps, you haven't had the education opportunities that some people have, or you haven't had the training that some people have. You might feel that that leads you to not ever be in a position of victory, that you will never win because you don't have the right paperwork. And that is a belief that you're going to leave in the past as you step into your new cycle, because you start to realize that, again, just like with everything else in the world, that is just a facade that the powers that be hope for you to adopt, because then you always play it small. You never realize your worth. You never recognize what you should receive. And so you never ask for it. And that is a paradigm you're leaving behind. And I am so proud of you, because that is not easy. It is not easy to recognize your worth, or to recognize where you've been undercut. But you're starting to realize that all this chatter has been fed to you. That's not who you are. People's judgments of you doesn't necessarily mean they know you better than you. And just because you don't have a certain piece of paper saying you know things doesn't mean that you will never win. That is awesome. It feels like this feeling of not having the space to even nurture yourself back to functioning is sort of lighting a fire inside you that is pushing you to change your situation by changing your internal monologue, by changing your sense of self-worth. Next, we have the King of Wands, clarified by the Hierophant in reverse. You're stopping. You are no longer gonna put your respect in systems that are outdated and that do not serve what is right. You're no longer supporting or worshipping powers that do not serve. It's like you're drawing a distinction between what is worth celebrating and what isn't. Oh, yeah, it feels like you're really recognizing this disillusionment with how the world is right now. You're recognizing that actually the way we function as a society is not for the common good of all, and it should be, because we share a planet. We don't live by the mercy of a few fortunate ones, right? This feels like a very rebellious time in your life, pile 3, but in a good way. It feels like you're raging against the system. And you're starting to recognize patterns in your life. You're starting to recognize patterns in the people around you and how you think about yourself and how people make you feel about yourself. And you're recognizing the things that do not serve you. With the Hierophant in reverse, this talks about authority gone crazy. This talks about systems that do not work, corruption. And with the King of Wands, this is someone who leads through passion and through fire and desire and creativity. And it feels like you're recognizing people in your community who may be this character, where they lead with desire and almost greed even. They lead with a sense of, this is how I would like things to do. This is how I would like things to turn out for my benefit. They abuse the system And you're recognizing this, and therefore you're leaving that hero worship in the past as you move forward. It definitely feels like being enlightened, but in the sense of being enlightened to what's going on, what the truth of your situation is, on a large scale even. And so you're leaving this this sort of habit of minimizing yourself and giving your power away, your self agency away to someone else simply because you were told to. It's like you're just completely rewriting your understanding of who you are, where you fit in the great plan of things, and why you deserve space. Or rather, more accurately, why you deserve to take up space. Yeah. So now that we have that, let's take a look at what you can look forward to in this cycle. We have the Five of Coins in reverse. Beautiful. Clarified by the Knight of Swords in reverse. Yeah. You're definitely no longer in this sense of feeling left out, feeling like I just don't know enough. If I was just smarter, I would be in a better position. All of that chatter that's going on in your mind. You're definitely stepping into a sense of security, particularly financially, actually. The Five of Coins upright talks about financial instability, being left out in the cold, having nothing, having no money. And to have that in reverse, with the Knight of Swords also in reverse, the Knight of Swords upright talks about someone who is moving forward with the knowledge that they have. They're like really quickly evolving in the sense of intellect, wisdom, thoughts, ideas, communication. So to have that in reverse is kind of telling me that you're sort of questioning everything you already know about how the world works. And I feel like we've inferred that from all these cards so far. But it's like you're doing a mental rewrite of not just what you know about yourself, but about the world around you. And how the world will only echo back to you what you tell it about yourself. And when you do that, it's like this tower moment almost, but internally, it's like this sense of, whoa, if I am not everyone else's projections, if I am not the sum of everyone else's thoughts of me, who am I? And then you recognize the bounty that's inside you, the abundance of potential that's in you. Simply by defying the system. And that's awesome, part 3. And next we have the World also in reverse. Clarified by the Three of Wands. Yeah, dude, this is... wow. The World in reverse usually talks about... that's interesting. Anyway, so the World usually talks about ultimate satisfaction, ultimate happiness. So in reverse, it's like the opposite. It's dissatisfaction, sadness, and all of that. But just like with the Fool, I feel like taking it quite literally for you in this context, because it's like the world around you was wrong about you. The world around you is not built the way it should be. And so when you clarify that with the Three of Wands, which is about looking out on the horizon, looking at the endless opportunities, looking at infinity itself, it's like your understanding of the world was so narrow and so finite and so almost commandeered by everyone around you, by society as a whole, that now that you're coming into a sense of dismantling the entire thing in your mind, of deconstructing everything you thought you knew about the world, it's opening up a myriad of possibilities for you to step into, for you to look forward to. That's the energy you're stepping into, part 3. It's a very exciting time, because when we know how something works, it's exciting, but eventually the excitement wears off. When we don't know how anything works, it's infinitely more exciting, because there's an infinite number of possibilities of how things can play out. And that's where you're being led. So finally, let's take a look at some advice from your spirit team. First, we have Pleiades, double mission, channeling and uplifting humanity. That does not surprise me at all, because it feels like you might, through this process, get in touch with the idea of maybe you don't come from here and you were brought here for the purpose of dismantling the way we work, the way we harm our own kind and our own planet. And this may be your awakening to how unfair everything is, how the cards are stacked against the vast majority of people for no reason. You know, this may be the one I want to read from the book, but let's see. Okay, next we have the frog spirit in reverse, clear out the clutter. Yeah, it feels like there's a lot you're holding on to. I'm surprised the 4 of Pentacles didn't come out. It feels like there's a lot of ideas that you've been holding on to that moving forward you're finally letting go of, and you're realizing that it never served you. It only serves the people who wanted power over you. And now that you're starting to question yourself and question everything, the advice for you is to really just throw it all out and start over. Go inside, go inwards, and really work on recognizing thought patterns that don't serve you, recognizing ideologies that don't serve you, recognizing pedestals you may have put people on that didn't deserve it. Recognizing that you deserve to be on your own pedestal, you know? But this Pleiades card is calling to me, so I'm just going to read that from the book for you really quick. It is page 118, which comes up to a 10. So if that number means anything, or if you start to see 118 around, that might be a sign that you're on the right path. Pleiades, double mission. The Pleiadians are a group of star beings dedicated to raising the vibration of the planet, sharing new consciousness through creations and technology. They have been incarnating on Earth since near the beginning of humanity. You are a soul who has a double mission: to grow at a soul level and to raise the vibration of the planet. If you've been called to write, speak, or channel, this is your sign to keep doing it. Pleiadians are the chattiest, and so perhaps you've already started channeling some of this work into the 3rd dimension. Your presence and unique light is needed. Hold the card on your heart and say, I call upon Pleiadian consciousness of the highest realms and highest good of humanity to work through me. Let me be a channel for only the purest light of the essence of Source. Let me channel in a way that also serves me. Yeah, you might find that a lot of spiritual gifts are breaking through for you right now. And that will happen as soon as you let go of this old paradigm, Pearl 3. So that was your message for today. Wow, that's way more powerful than I expected it. But if it resonated, I hope it did bring you some support and clarity. If it did, please remember to like and subscribe. Comment below how this reading resonates for you. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your time with me and letting me do this reading for you. I truly hope it helped. If it did, and if you'd like to support what I do, my PayPal tip jar is in the description, and I would super appreciate your support. And in either case, stick around to the outro just after this for another reading on my channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.